Today I'll talk about the B2B attribution modeling exercise that we did. Primarily this was done via Markov chain modeling in Python. Now, before I get into the technicalities of the model, I will also quickly brief you on the on why we do the B2B attribution modeling, why it is important, and the steps that we followed in this exercise. So the purpose, or the primary purpose of using the attribution modeling, is to optimize the marketing strategy of the company and thereby gain a competitive advantage. Okay, and how does this happen? This happens by gaining insights into the customer decision cycles and accordingly aligning our marketing strategy. So what this basically means is, so you have a website for your business, okay, and then you have several online as well as offline marketing channels. And when a customer purchases something from you, or in a B2B scenario, when the customer places a purchase order or signs a contract for you to supply something to them, then they go through multiple paths before they make their decision, right? So what you do here is you analyze all those journeys and all those customer paths, and these provide you certain insights as to what should your optimal marketing strategy be. So that's what the second point is talking about. Okay, and of course, third point, we are saying identify efficient conversion paths by analyzing different customer journeys and comparing key metrics such as the number of leads generated over time and the cost per lead. So let's say you have some 10 or 15 marketing channels, right? So which is very effective for you in generating more leads and doing so at a cost-effective price point. So that's the third point. And then one other benefit of the B2B attribution modeling is that we can identify and scale down on poorly performing marketing channels for bottom line savings. Okay, so in order to cut down on your unnecessary marketing spend, you need to have visibility into the performance of the different marketing channels, and your attribution modeling process helps you get to that level. And we can also measure the effectiveness of different campaigns within each channel and suitably decipher a better performing campaign strategy. So this is like an A/B testing. Okay, so what we do here is, let's say there is one particular channel, let's say a Google ad, right? So that is one particular marketing channel. Now today you give one type of advertisement on the Google ads, okay, and then let's say the attribution of Google ads to your final conversions is 20%. Okay, but tomorrow you want to change that advertisement which you give on Google, and you go ahead with a different marketing message, right? And let's say the attribution for that marketing message, when you run that campaign, it is 30%. Okay, so what this basically means is, it is possible that the second marketing, so though both the marketing campaigns were run on Google ads, it is possible that the second marketing campaign is more effective than the first one. Okay, so that is what we say, that is what we mean when we say that we measure the effectiveness of different campaigns within each channel and decipher the better performing campaign strategy.
If I can just add a little bit here. So see, what happens is, so take the scenario. This is B2B attribution model. B2B means basically business to business, and the process goes something like this. I think, do we have a slide for process size? PPT. No? Okay. So I think this is a good slide for us. The reason for that is, see, when you have in a B2B, let's take a scenario so you understand it a little closer to the reality. So for example, if you take I'm just thinking of an example. So let's say so take, for example, let's say B2B lending. Okay, so there are many, actually let's take this example, B2B lending, and that too in, let's say, for vehicles. Okay, something called NBFCs, non-banking finance companies, right? So non-banking finance companies, what they do is they basically lend to a lot of automotive kind of a sector, where truck drivers and stuff like that. We will leave that apart. But they also finance a lot of companies which banks may not finance. Okay, but these are like medium-sized companies. Okay, so what would their marketing look like? Okay, so they use a number of different channels. Okay, so we have listed some of them here. You have Google ads, LinkedIn ads, right? YouTube ads. So many companies send a lot of emails. Okay, they'll typically buy, from various sources. They would just buy, they'll say, okay, I want this kind of a segment, and they would buy, let's say 100,000, let's say 30,000, 40,000, whatever is the number of email IDs, and the names and essentially database, and they will email it to all of them. Okay. And there are a lot of things like sponsorships, right? So we go to a specific conference and we will sponsor, right? And obviously on website there are lots of people coming and downloading testimonials. They will watch testimonials and they will download case studies and so on and so forth, right? They'll probably sign up for a webinar. Right, so a lot of things like this. You have more, so you go to a conference, all of those things. Okay, you'll look at articles and things like that. So typically, each of this generates its own data and a lot of activity around it. Okay, so what many times when we talk to customers that would like to implement B2B attribution modeling, so they came back to us and said, see, we do a lot of this stuff, and typically this time is a very good time for them to get in touch with us. Okay, so what they do is they'll say, okay, see, we don't understand what is working. Right? See, once it turns out to be a lead, as in somebody gets in touch with the company saying, hey, we are interested, okay, in you helping us with this particular activity, maybe finance, maybe some legal work, maybe something else, wherever B2B is involved, right? Services, any other services, and so on and so forth, right? So up from then, taking it to closure is very easy. Why? Because somebody has expressed an interest in our service, right? And we take that particular thing and then we run with it. It is assigned to a specific individual who is in the sales department. And from then on, they know exactly what to do. So no problem there. So you can see it right here. So our Sai has done a great job of putting this together. You can see this particular process. This is like a tunnel from here, right? So you have lead qualification, correct call, discovery call, right? So you have opportunity stage, product demo, right? Stakeholders buy-in, negotiation, contract signing, etc. And then sort of it completes. Okay. So the point here being, see, from here till the end, I think it is very clear, right? However, this particular part, okay, the one that I'm about to highlight right now, so that part is not clear at all. Okay, it's like a huge mesh, right? So why is it a huge mesh? I'll tell you why. Let us say, for example, we want to, let's say we want to look at, let's say, a trademark, agent that we want to, associate with. Or much worse, to take a scenario, for example, where, let us say, we would like to, let's assume that we are a manufacturing company, okay? And we would like to automate our manufacturing process, right? So in a manufacturing process, what happens? So our entire business is dependent on the machinery, on the assembly line, okay? And we would like to make sure whatever we incorporate into our process, right? The company is really good, the equipment is really good, and they have service, and there are no sort of, what do you call this, you don't have any, sort of downtime on the manufacturing. All of this you would like to ensure, isn't it? and that they are somewhere over here, they're not from some other place, they have, if something goes wrong, we have people who can attend to it, and they'll give us training and so on, and right, you get the point, right? That it is very, very critical for us to be able to choose the right kind of a person, right? A company. So what we do is, so how does the decision making process happen? What we do is we first check out who are the people, right? And then we check out their website, how long have they been around, what do the customers say, do they have, are they continuously improving their, processes and so on? What kind of support do we get from them? So we attend their webinars, we download their case studies, right? We look at their YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. So we do a lot of these things before we say, okay, of all these people that probably can help, these are the 3 or 4 people that, can work with us, okay? So then from that company's point of view, they have got into the consideration set, okay? And then they will go to the process of choosing those people, okay? But this is how the whole thing works, right? So I think I hope you got the point that there are a lot of processes that people do, and each of these processes have their own data. Now, what that company is doing is, I don't know. I am doing so many things. Doing putting up an ad is not a small thing. It takes quite a bit of a time. It generates its own data. You have to look at the data, decipher, and so on and so forth. But largely, what is the big picture? And when I'm about to allocate my budget, how do I allocate this budget? Which one should I give priority? Which one not? Which is helping? Which is not? How much time am I spending on each of these? And how many of these are they're not useful at all for us, right? If you want all of this, the data is largely there, but we don't know what is working, right? It is very much possible, right? It happens all the time, we see in data, right? So just about 10% contributes to the 90%. What is the 10% contributing to the 90%? And what's the rest of the 90% contributing only to 10% of all the leads that we are getting, right? So if only 90% of my work is leading to 10% of the result, I would rather get rid of it and focus on the 10% that is contributing to 90%, isn't it? Right? So what are those things? So they don't have an idea about what this is, and they would like to know. And that approach is the B2B attribution modeling, because what attribution modeling does is, we would like to decipher, right? So, okay, or can we get to information about, okay, so these are the top 5 clients we got. How did they come to us? Because if we know how they came to us, then we are going to do more of that, okay? And cut down many other things which probably are taking away resources, the management time, right? People, right? And also the money and so on and so forth. So this is the exercise that they are trying to go through, and they need help, okay? Does it make any sense?
Yes, Anthony.
Okay, understood. Okay, any quick questions here? Okay, all right. So back to you.
Thank you, Chaitanya. Okay.
Sai, I have one question.
Yeah.
Regarding marketing campaign, you told let's take the first one have 20% and the second one have 30% conversion. So there are more chances those who got converted through second, they would have been viewing the campaign one also. So those 30%, there are chances it has influence on marketing campaign one also. So is there any way to say more specific, only these are the people from second campaign?
No, there is one assumption that you make. So you run 2 campaigns, right? And so if in the first campaign you attribute 20% of the conversions, and if the second campaign attribution comes to 30%, then basically the primary assumption behind that inference is that your traffic or the visitors to your website has stayed constant over both periods of time.
Okay.
So that is a fundamental assumption that we need to have. So if there is any drastic change in the visitor pattern to your website or something, or if it's not business as usual, if something special has happened, so that would not help you make that conclusion. But any A/B testing that you do, you make the assumption that your basic traffic patterns and your regular business operations are the same for both the periods of testing.
To add to that, see so there are the following. See, each of these, right? See, typically, let's say you take Facebook advertising, Instagram, YouTube, Google Ads, all of these guys, they have their basic attribution modeling in place, okay? But they look at it only from their platform perspective, okay? So, and you have like various, if you look at so we already have an attribution modeling case study, so you can just check that out there. So there are these some of the common ones that they use. So for example, they use the first click, okay? So for example, first click makes a lot of sense in cases where you are introducing the topic to them, right? And they do probably more research, they eventually buy. So this is the first advertisement that got you the eventual deal. So this is one way of looking at it, okay? The second one is, there is another model where it's maybe based on the time spent, right? Like Sai mentioned, there's another one which is uniform. Let's say if they have gotten exposed to about 4 to 5 ads in total, right? In that case, basically what happens is, you may say, okay, depending on the product, you may say, okay, let's distribute it equally because we don't know, what has worked, or we are probably reasonably sure that it has, sort of contributed equally. There are also something else. There is something called a time decay. Okay. So, for example, you saw one ad last year, then you totally forgot about it, right? And then you needed something urgently right now, and you went ahead and purchased that now. Okay. Then, so the last year's one and this year's one cannot be on the same platform. Right? So, so that's why what you do is, so you may want to attribute more to the current one than to the last year's one, right? So there is a time decay involved. So that's also another model. Like, based on time decay, you give to the latest. There is something else called latest click or last click, okay? So, so sometimes what happens is, let's say, let's take not so very important decision. Like, for example, let's say you're buying soap, for example, right? It is not a multi-year strategy that you use to buy a soap, isn't it? You just check for something. Let's assume this is some unique soap or something like that you want to typically buy. A lot of people, what they do is they Google, right? The 10th time also they Google, right? So they Googled it. Sometimes, so you might say, let's assume, whatever soap it is, right? Some unique soap or something like that, right? So, so they clicked on it, right? So they Googled. Sometimes they have their website coming up as the first one, but they also advertise for their own keywords also, for their own brand also. So you'll find the ad and the website one below the other. So they clicked on the ad and they purchased. Okay. Then here, very clearly, it's the last click that is important for them, right? So even if you had clicked like 20 times, it's not really useful. It's the last click that has helped you, right? So this is all one part. So this is, you are really looking at it from the point of view of that particular platform. But in a single platform also, let's say there is a little bit more research that you have to do, okay, on that particular product. So for example, you have to buy, let's say, a phone, right? It is unlikely that you will rely only on the company's website. You won't do that, right? You will first go check out what the customers are saying, right? So so you may go to, let's say, YouTube, check it out, right? You may look at other reviews. If it is a business, for example, you may go to Google reviews and check out, hey, what are people saying there, right? Even for restaurants, we do that, isn't it? Right? So if you want to order from somewhere, especially if some guests are coming or something like that, you won't rely just on one source. You may want to go check out what are Google reviews saying, right? Sometimes, I'm sure it has happened to many of you too. You find a restaurant there, you think, should I go or not? Now let me check out Google reviews first, before I walk in, right? right? Or you may even check, what are the nearby restaurants and so on and so forth. But the point here is that you will look for more than one sources of information so that you can build confidence on it. Okay, and when you do that, the attribution model for a single, sort of platform is not going to work. Right? So this is where largely, you have online channels that could be helping. So for online channels, we have developed that model wherein you will collect data from multiple sources. Okay, multiple platforms. This is called an omni-channel, sort of attribution model. Okay, you're really figuring out across the 3, 4, 5, or whatever are the number of platforms that the customer is searching and looking for, right? You would then do an attribution model. Okay, that will basically say which one should I attribute. Yeah, in fact, so just to stretch it a little bit, and I will close it here. So for B2B attribution, it so happens that there are a number of channels. Many of them are online and offline. Okay, internal and external as well, right? White paper kind of a thing will all be internal because it is on your website. Okay, article could be both internal, external, right? YouTube channel, if let's say somebody gives a speech, for example, then it becomes an external one, and then from there you get a lead and so on. Okay, some of it is traceable, some of it is probably not, right? But so there is certain amount of manual work also involved. If a lot of traffic is coming, let's say from a specific YouTube video, for example, where the customer would have gotten aware, then you actually take that into account. Okay? So in fact, deciphering which ad, which marketing channel is helpful, etc. That's the purpose of attribution model. Please, back.
Thank you, Chaitanya. So just to add to that a little bit, right? What Chaitanya was talking about, the first touch or first click or the last click attribution models. So these are what we call as the single touch model or the conventional models. So apart from that, we have the multi-touch models, and of course Chaitanya was talking about the linear attribution or the time decay attribution. And there is also something called as the U-shaped attribution, which gives like 30% to the first click, 30% to the last click, and the remaining 40% are attributed to the points in the middle. So that's what you call as U-shaped attribution. But under the multi-touch attribution model, there is a further class called as the custom attribution model. So the omni-channel attribution that we are doing falls under this category. So this custom attribution is also called as the data-driven attribution model, where we take that data of all those user journeys. So we were just saying, right, the customer goes through multiple marketing channels, the journey is very complex and so on. So we take all of that complicated data and then we build some sort of a specialized model, such as a Markov chain model or a Shapley value model. So that is what is called as the data-driven attribution or the custom attribution. And especially in the B2B scenario, since we have the combination of online and offline touch points and a couple of other points which I'll be talking about in my other slide, it makes sense for us to use this kind of a custom or the data-driven attribution model rather than the conventional first click or the last click models. Let's go back here. Yeah. So what are the other challenges which make us to implement this kind of a customer or data-driven attribution model is the first being the length of the conversion funnel. So typically, if you see the average length of the converted or the successful deals in the B2B scenario could be anytime, like 6 months or 7 months, right? Or it could also possibly go up to 9 or 10 months. Okay, so when you have a first click or the last click model, or even a time decay for a model for that matter, it might not exactly give you the right attribution to your several marketing channels. Okay, and also there are a very large number of interactions which the potential prospective buyer makes with the company, phone calls, and also all those other channels that we were looking at here, right? So there could also be hundreds of touch points. It's possible. Okay. So again, going for a first click, last click, or even the linear attribution model or the U-shaped model, it's not going to make sense because the percentage allocation of your attributions is going to be pretty much uniform in that case. Okay. So that's why you need some sort of a data driven attribution model. And also you have a combination of online as well as offline touch points. Now here, getting the data itself will pose a challenge, because online interactions, you have solutions which gather your clickstream data from your website, YouTube channels, Google ads, paid search, and so on, right? But what do you do for offline touch points? So let's say you talk to a customer at some conference, okay, and that conference data, you need to take care that you enter it into your CRM system diligently every time you conduct that conference, okay? Or let's say a customer reached out to you over the phone, right? So that data also has to be maintained carefully, okay? And typically these data points, if at all they are stored in the CRM system of that company. And any company looking to develop a very accurate model for attribution should take care to record these offline interactions as well in their CRM system. So then there's this challenge of integrating the clickstream data with the offline interaction data. And so this is what we call as the omni-channel attribution, where you combine both online as well as offline interaction data. Okay. And another complicating factor in B2B is that the average B2B buyer engages 36 times with the vendors before purchasing. This is because number one, the sales cycle itself is long, okay, and there is a lot of red tape and bureaucratic formalities which companies have, a lot of procedures which companies have in place before making a purchase, okay. Right from the time they start researching for a product and then to the time the contract is being signed, the time interval is very long. Also, there are many people involved in the purchasing decision, each of whom would like to interact with the company multiple times. Okay, so that is why we are saying the average B2B buyer engages 36 times with the vendor before purchasing. Okay. And one of the primary differences between purchasing in B2B and B2C is that the person who is actually starting the search for the product or starting to research about the product is very different from the person who is going to use the product. Okay, so this is what we categorize the people involved in the B2B purchasing decision as follows. So first, you have some people called as the initiators, who feel the need to purchase a new product or service, and then they start searching or researching for options. Okay, and then there are gatekeepers who control the flow of information. Okay, so they they will have certain frameworks or certain constraints in place saying, hey, these are the specifications that we need for that product. So please, whatever research that you do, you constrain your research to this particular area, this particular product, which should have these features which we need for our company, something like that. Okay. And then there are some influencers who provide expert advice or guidance in the buying process. And then the decision makers who give the final yes or no decision. Okay. And then the finance department comes in, so we call them the controllers. They allocate the budget, and the person who actually executes the purchasing transaction. So this in itself is a huge process. So there is this process of raising the purchase order, and then purchasing the materials, processing the sales order, and so on, right? So these people are called as the buyers. And then finally, we have the users who will actually use the product once it is purchased. Okay. Now, in different stages of the purchasing life cycle, different people from the process here will feel the need to interact with the company, and that is one of the primary reasons why your sales cycle in B2B goes up to 9 or 10 months. Okay. Any questions here until now? Covered this, and then just to give an idea of what typical customer journeys can look like. So the customer journey starts over here. The customer might go to a trade fair of that particular company, interact with the personnel, get a visiting card or a brochure, and then they'll check out the YouTube channel, and then the YouTube channel can possibly have a link to the website of that company. So then the customer goes to the website, and then ultimately he can choose either to convert or not to convert, right? Or after viewing the video, YouTube video, they can choose to subscribe to an email newsletter provided by the company. Okay, and like this, the journeys involve many touch points. They're very complicated. Okay, this is just a representative image, and you can see that the journeys comprise of offline touch points like a trade fair or a appointed meeting with the sales representative of that company, and also following the company and going through the company's content on different social media channels. Okay, so like this, there are hundreds of parts, and this is where the need to have a custom attribution model which draws the patterns out from all these convoluted parts is necessary. So what we did was, so we actually had two models in mind. So one was the Markov chain model and the other is the Shapley-Varley model. Both are very flexible in nature, both are suitable, and they can accommodate all these complicated customer journeys from a B2B perspective, and both have the capability to work well with both online and offline data. So what we have done until now is we have chosen this Markov chain model, and we have in fact built a Markov chain model for B2B marketing attribution.